Prime Minister Narendra Modi to interact with Chief Ministers and LGs of all states and Union Territories coming Tuesday and Wednesday. This will be the Prime Minister's first interaction with Chief Ministers after Unlock 1 was set in motion. Army Chief General Narwane says situation in LAC along India-China border is completely peaceful and both the armies are engaged in constructive talks. Takes part in passing out parade at Indian Military Academy, Dehradun. Security forces gunned down 2 terrorists in an ongoing encounter in Kulgam of Jammu and Kashmir cordon off area in order to flush out remaining terrorists. And active COVID-19 cases in the country stand at around 1,45,000 with 1,54,000. Recovered cases again overtake active cases. Globally, active cases cross 7 million. Lockdown in parts of Chinese capital Beijing with fresh cases being reported in several areas. Hello and welcome to this edition of the news. I'm Rukma in our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a fresh round of consultations with Chief Ministers next week. PM Modi will hold the video conferencing with Chief Ministers on June 16th and 17th. The 2-day virtual meet comes against the backdrop of rising number of coronavirus cases in the country. This will be the Prime Minister's first meeting with Chief Ministers under Unlock 1. Several relaxations have been made for the public as well as businesses to ensure that economic activities hit by the lockdown gather momentum. States have been divided into 2 slots for the 2-day virtual meet. Home Minister Amit Shah spoke with all the Chief Ministers over telephone in the last week of May, just before Lockdown 4 was to end. And joining us now is our correspondent Arun Sharma, who joins us with more details about the Prime Minister's conversation to take place next week with Chief Ministers and Lieutenant Governors of all states and Union Territories. Arun, take us through, the issues that could be taken up for discussion, considering that this is his first interaction with Chief Ministers of states after we entered Unlock 1.
That's right, Rukma. And so far, any decision as far as the lockdown is concerned or Unlock 1.0 is concerned, all these decisions have been taken by talking to all these stakeholders. That means the Chief Ministers of the respective states as well. The first meeting with the Chief Ministers of all the states was held on 20th of March, and after that, on 24th of March, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the nationwide lockdowns. That means when the first lockdown was announced by Prime Minister Modi, before that also, Prime Minister held meeting with the Chief Ministers, had consultation with various stakeholders, and then only this decision was taken. But why this meeting will be very much important, let's try to understand. The number one point is that this is the first time when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting the Chief Ministers virtually during the Unlock 1.0 phase. That means this is the unlocking phase. All the meetings were on the matter of discussing on unlocking part or how to strategize as far as the lockdown is concerned. But this is for the first time that during the Unlock 1.0, the meeting is taking place, number one. Number two, this is for the first time that this meeting will take place in 2 phases. That means this is a 2-day meeting, and the states have been categorized on some important aspect. Now, for example, that on 16th of June, 21 states will be meeting or interacting with Prime Minister Modi. And these 21 states primarily includes the hilly states, the northeastern region, the small union territories, and the states whereby the occurrence or the COVID cases are less in number. These are the smaller states. So Prime Minister number one will be interacting with the states which are smaller states and where the cases are less in number. So the strategy will be different for the smaller states and the states whereby the less number of COVID cases are witnessed. On the other day, that means on 17th of June, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with chief ministers. Now, these states, I mean, these 15 states on day 2 are larger states, the states whereby the number of coronavirus cases are large in number. This includes states like Maharashtra. We have Delhi on 17th of June. Uttar Pradesh is the large state, but yes, Uttar Pradesh has played an important role in controlling the COVID cases. It's the best of the example as far as the control of COVID cases are concerned. It's a state with 25 crore of population. It's a large state. So how can larger state in our country be strategizing as to fighting against COVID, and what can be the Unlock 1.0's further strategy going forward? We know this fact that India has crossed 3 lakh mark as far as the COVID cases are concerned, but the best part is that as of now, Rukma, that the recovery rate is inching towards 50%. I mean, close to 50% is our recovery rate. So that's something that on one side, yes, the India is inching towards, more and more patients are becoming active as far as the COVID are concerned, but the recovery rate is a good thing that India is witnessing as of now. So what can be the Unlock 1.0 strategies going forward? How can the best practices of one state can be, developed in another state? Which are the best practices that a state is adopting as far as controlling of COVID cases concerned, and how can that best practices can be, replicated in another state? As far as health infrastructure is concerned, as far as the hospital and beds are concerned, as far as providing better health facilities are concerned, as far as testing is concerned, what more needs to be done, and what are the challenges or shortcomings that various states are facing as of now? That, of course, can be very much is likely on the agenda when Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets the chief ministers of various states. So yes, it's an important and significant meeting, and it's first of its kind when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting the chief ministers during the Unlock 1.0 to discuss the strategy and the way forward of Unlock 1.0, and of course to discuss the various issues surrounding the COVID crisis.
Right, Arun, thank you very much for joining us there and for your inputs. And India's COVID-19 tally reached the 3 lakh mark on Saturday with a record single-day spike of 11,458 infections, while the death toll rose to 8,884 with 386 new fatalities according to the Union Health Ministry. With a COVID-19 caseload of 3,08,993, India is now the 4th worst hit nation by the pandemic. The total number of confirmed cases include foreigners as well. The government on Friday allowed certain categories of foreigners, including overseas citizen of India card holders, to enter India amid restrictions on the entry of people from abroad due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Foreign nationals who are minor, where at least one of their parents is an Indian citizen or an OCI card holder, foreign nationals married to Indian citizens, foreign nationals who are single parents of minor children holding Indian passports or OCI cards, students who are foreign nationals where at least one of their parents is an Indian citizen or an OCI card holder, dependent family members of foreign diplomats, and official or service passport holding service staff accredited to foreign diplomatic missions, consular offices or accredited international organizations in India. However, these foreign nationals will have to obtain a fresh visa of appropriate category from Indian missions and posts abroad. Foreign nationals holding a valid long-term multiple entry visa of appropriate category issued by the Indian missions and posts abroad will have to get the visa revalidated from the Indian mission and post concerned. Such foreign nationals will not be permitted to travel to India on the strength of any electronic visa obtained earlier. Consequently, the visa restrictions imposed by the MHA on April 17th and May 5th would not apply to the above-mentioned foreign nationals. Similarly, travel restrictions imposed on May 7th would not apply to any aircraft or any other vehicle by which the above-mentioned categories of foreign nationals, including OCI card holders, may travel to India. And as the number of coronavirus cases continues to spiral in the national capital, Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal on Friday constituted a high-level expert committee, which includes ICMR Director General Balram Bhargav, to suggest effective steps to deal with the pandemic. The move comes on a day the Supreme Court termed as horrific the state of affairs in Delhi hospitals, with bodies being stacked next to COVID-19 patients. The Supreme Court also said the situation in Delhi is horrendous, horrific and pathetic. A lot of people would have heard and perhaps been outraged over the alleged unreasonable stance of the GST authority on higher tax of parathas. The kind of media reports which came out certainly make it look bizarre and unreasonable. But the question is, was the decision bizarre or was the reporting the issue? Let's examine the facts. The Authority for Advanced Ruling, Karnataka, a judicial authority, held that frozen and preserved wheat parathas and Malabar parathas, which are sold in ambient and frozen form with a shelf life of 3 to 7 days, is not a plain roti but a distinct product and will attract 18% GST. And for more on this, we go across to our correspondent Ajay Mishra. Ajay, what are the facts regarding the price of frozen and preserved parathas? We believe that, this could be more an issue of the media's making. Could you explain to us in detail?
I think somebody was trying to make this story more interesting, and that's why he or she just picked up and ruling by a tax authority in Karnataka and quoted that the parathas are being taxed at 18% while the rotis are being taxed at 5%. But here's the story. You know why? What is the basis that you tax a goods or a service for the common man? If a product is for the mass consumption and it is being consumed by the people who are actually economically weaker society, and they are not they are not in a position to pay the taxes, you tax that item at lower rate. When you actually see that a product is being used by the higher class of society, having more dispensable income in their hand, and it is the industries who are making profit by selling those products to these niche class, you put a higher tax on it, and that's a practice which is being adopted by other countries also, as far as the taxes are concerned. So even if I and you go to a restaurant and buy roti or paratha or an ice cream or an malai kofta or for example masala dosa and all, there will be just 5% of service tax. There is no difference of service tax on roti and paratha in a restaurant if you are going to have a meal out there. But if you are going to a mall and you are picking up a Malabar paratha from the shelf, which is frozen, which is packaged, which is branded, and it's sold to you at a very high price, being a processed food item, which you will use either on your flight or in your when at home and you just want a quick meal. It's not a mass product. It's a niche product that you are purchasing, and companies are making higher profit by selling it at a higher price, and that's why the government has taken the conscious decision to put it at the 18% bracket. So as of now, for example, take the example of milk. If you go and buy the raw milk from the market, the GST on milk is just 0%. If you go to buy a tetra packet of a milk, you will have to pay 5%. That milk, if you buy in a condensed or powdered form, you will have to pay 12%, because on the dried and condensed form of the milk, there is a processing involved, there is industries involved, there is branding and marketing involved. So many economic chains are involved in the whole process, and companies are selling the powdered milk at very high price and actually taking premium from the consumer. And from that, a portion of it goes as a taxes or the GST. So that's the underlying principle. So just to clarify, there is no difference between roti and a paratha when you go to consume in a restaurant. It is just 5% flat for every item that you eat or order. But if you go to mall and pick up any frozen item, not just paratha, be it idli, be it sambar, be it fried dal for that matter. If it is frozen and packed and branded for you, you'll have to pay 18%. That's the real story.
Right, Ajay, well, thank you so much for explaining that in detail and in very simple terms. And well, we hope it's very clear now. An issue that was blown out of proportion by various sections of the media. Well, moving on now, Army Chief General Narwane has said that the entire situation along our borders with China is under control. We are having a series of talks, he said, which started with core commander level talks and has been followed up with various meetings.
Entire situation along our borders with China is under control. We are having a series of talks. It started with the core commander level talks on the 6th of this month. This has been followed up by a number of meetings at the local level between commanders of equivalent ranks, and as a result of this, a lot of disengagement has taken place, and we are hopeful that through this continued dialogue that we are having, all perceived differences that we have will be set to rest. As I said right at the beginning, everything is under control. Both sides are disengaging in a phased manner. We have started from the north, from the area of the Galwan River, where a lot of disengagement has happened. It has been a very fruitful dialogue that we have had.
And joining us now is our correspondent Sudhir with more details on this. Sudhir, well, the Army Chief assuring that everything is under control as far as the situation with China regarding our borders. Give us a sense of what he said as he spoke on the occasion of the passing out parade today.
बिल्कुल रुकमा, जब आर्मी चीफ से ये सवाल पूछा गया कि LAC पर किस तरह के हालात हैं, किस तरह के डिसएंगेजमेंट हुए हैं, तो उसके जवाब में आर्मी चीफ ने कहा कि ओवरऑल LAC की जो LAC पे स्थिति है वो अंडर कंट्रोल है, और चाइना के साथ जो LAC को लेकर कई स्तरों पर बातचीत हुई है। पहले कोर कमांडर के लेवल पे बात हुई, फिर डिविजनल कमांडर के लेवल पे बात हुई, डिप्लोमेटिक चैनल्स पे भी इस बारे में बातचीत हुई, और जो बातचीत है वो काफी अच्छे माहौल में हुई है। और उसके बाद से न केवल गलवान जो गलवान वैली का इलाका है, उसके अलावा जो कई और जगह भी हैं, वहाँ जो दोनों आर्मी उनका डिसएंगेजमेंट हुआ है, और उन्होंने कहा है कि जो दोनों का जो परसीव्ड परसेप्शन है उसके लिहाज से बातचीत चल रही, तो इसको बातचीत के जरिए सुलझा लिया जाएगा। रुकमा।
Right. Well, thank you very much, Sudhir, for joining us there and for your inputs. And now moving on, Chief of Army Staff General Narwane on Saturday said that the country is passing through difficult times and its safety and honor depends on the ability of its young officers as military leaders. Addressing gentlemen cadets at the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun as the reviewing officer of the passing out parade, General Narwane said they are being commissioned as officers into the army under the most daunting of circumstances, and the high standards of their military training will help them overcome the challenges in store for them. The parade saw a total of 423 cadets being commissioned into the army, including 333 from the country and 90 from friendly foreign countries.
As you step across the Antim Pag and enter the portals of Chetwood, remember what lies ahead of you is the Pehla Kadam of your life as a commissioned officer of the Indian Army. It is a proud and momentous occasion for the entire nation that 333 gentlemen cadets are joining our glorious army today. I also take this opportunity to convey my felicitations to the 90 gentlemen cadets from friendly foreign countries for successfully completing your training. I am certain that you will do your countries proud.
General Narwane also said that the army does not discriminate on the basis of caste, creed or religion.
Rise above petty considerations of caste, creed, religion and gender. The army does not discriminate. Your Jawans will know your names. You not only have to know their names, but also their hopes, their dreams and their fears. Let not the passion for your career overshadow your compassion for your men, for it is they who will follow you to battle. When the going gets tough and all seems lost, it is the spirit of your men that will give you the courage you need. No one wins on their own. Teams win battles. If you win the trust and affection of your troops, they will win battles for you.
And the army chief further said that the nation will prosper only if it is safeguarded from external and internal enemies.
In these difficult times, the safety, honor and welfare of our country depends on your abilities as military leaders. You have the trust of the people of India, and to live up to their expectations, you have to strive hard. You have the challenging task of containing external threats as well as defanging disruptive forces attempting to destabilize our nation from within. Only when our nation is safeguarded from external as well as internal threats will we prosper and be able to secure for our citizens the core values enshrined in the preamble to our Constitution.
And China's health authority said on Saturday that it had received reports of 11 new confirmed COVID-19 cases on the Chinese mainland on Friday, of which 6 were domestically transmitted and 5 were imported. All of the domestically transmitted cases were reported in Beijing, the National Health Commission said in its daily report. No deaths related to the disease were reported on Friday and 2 people were discharged from hospital after recovery, according to the Commission. Beijing has also suspended class resumption for primary school students due to the new COVID-19 cases. 6 major wholesale food markets were shut or partially shut on Friday. The new cases on Friday involved 2 men working at a meat research center who had recently visited the markets, according to state media. It was not immediately clear how they were infected. Thursday's case in a different part of the city was the capital's first reported case in nearly 2 months. And that's all in this edition of the news. News and updates continue on DD News and DD India. Namaskar.